right? There's nothing that you can do at this given time. You're near just some pretty significant regions, really hoping we get a deeper pullback so we can take it back down, and then price just continues to drop. And just out of our control. There's nothing that we can do. Like I said earlier, the biggest thing that we can do is to stay as mentally tough as possible. These conditions are the times that will test your mental side more than anything, mainly for the fact that traders feel like they're missing out on trades. They feel like that the market's moving without them, failing to remind themselves that this time will pass and we will revert back to normal conditions. This is not a time for you just to start jumping around and trying new strategies and things like that. This is a time for you to be as smart as you possibly can when it comes down to preserving your capital, when it comes down to living to trade another day, and really proving to yourself that if you say you're going to do something, you can commit to that. And so same thesis with AUD CAD, looking for a pullback and then looking for it to drop. These are we have one more AUD pair. AUD JPY, what we can see is that price is very, very bearish. We can see that price is very impulsive. And lastly, we can see that price is in some pretty sensitive regions. What we would like, once again, is we'd like a nice healthy pullback so that we can look to sell it down. We're not looking to take sells right now because we would just simply be selling at the lows, and it's just not really worth our interest. And you can't even see here on the smaller time frame, there's no structure for us to work off of. Even on the 2, if we do work off this point of structure here, we are basically back into these previous lows. This is not something of our interest, so it's best just to wait. CAD pairs, legends. CAD CHF to begin with, there's no point marking the tops here only because we are so far away from those regions, but what you can see is that we are creating all-time lows and we are near the previous weekly low. If I do drop to the weekly here, we can see that we are in fact pulling off of this region, which used to be the all-time low as well. Now you can see that this is going to be considered as a pretty sensitive region just because of all the orders that should be sitting. You can see that the wicks are now starting to represent that. Dropping to the daily, we can see that price is definitely starting to slow down and decelerate, meaning that we can expect at some point price to start pulling back, develop our lower high for a lower low, expect another continued movement. And so we could get a short-term long off of this previous lower high, but we do in fact need to get above this daily lower high in order for us to start looking for those buys. We can see here in the shorter time frame that we are in fact potentially developing a short-term continuation. So if we can successfully get above this region, there's no reason why we can't look for another long back to the tops. And so we do need that to develop. We do need further confirmation on that side, but that is a potential short-term long. Just need the criteria to fit in order for us to fire away. But still, very much patient game. And I hope you legends can start picking up as I'm going through these pairs. I just went through so far 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 trades, and all the trades need more time to develop. And so that's the biggest issue. And just real quick before we continue, that that's what I was saying in the voice message as well, that just is a little bit more frustrating, even personally, is just the inactivity portion, right? When you're working with an approach, you understand that you have a statistical rate, a hit rate, a probability rate with regards to how you go about things. And as a trader, once you have your money management down, you don't care about the wins or the losses or the break evens. All you care about is getting enough trades so that you can actually see the feasibility of your approach and see the actual data, come out, and just be able to perform in that manner. And so when you're only getting 2-3 trades a week, it does become increasingly more difficult on that side. And so once again, the most important thing is to just be as patient as possible, really embodying that and embodying the fact that you need to take care of everything that you possibly can in your control. Money management, holding over the weekend is not necessary because of the gaps. Making sure you're sticking to your plan, to your rules that you set for yourself, because as I said before, these times will pass. So, going into the next one, CAD JPY, same concept, right? We're at a super critical region. And once again, the basis of it all, we have to wait for some type of development. Yes, we can look for these short-term buys, but we got to get above these regions to start looking for the long. Same concept, even on all those AUD pairs, they're all looking like this, and we do need some type of pullback so we can go. The issue is that when that pullback takes place, it's literally at the previous lows and then continues to start dropping, and we're not interested in trading that region just because of how risky it is. And so once again, and I hope you legends can kind of start picking up on that, it's really just a waiting game more than anything else. And that's just personally a main reason why, And like I said, it's not that trading is difficult per se, it's just more of a mental game than anything else right now. And so that's just the big gist of it all, is that it's a mental game, it's a patience game, and there's really nothing we can do, especially in these unstable times. And so with that, Legends, going straight into it, CAD JPY, we do have a little short-term descending trend here, in which if we can get above this previous lower high, just like CAD CHF we looked at, we could get a potential long, which would be quite nice, and we could get another leg to the upside. We definitely do have to get above this region first and foremost, and then we can look to see what type of moves we could get. Criteria's got to fit, of course, but that would be the goal for the short term. And then a little tip and trick here for you, Legends. This year would ultimately be playing into the bigger picture of still looking for another sell down. If you guys do drop to the monthly and then go to the weekly, what we can see is that movement in itself is just an impulse. For a trend to develop, you always need some counter move and another leg to take place, right? That's how trends ultimately develop. They develop in consistence of 4 points. And so that is how you start to fit in those, pieces of the puzzle from the shorter and longer time frames. So that's CAD JPY. Once again, very much of a waiting game, just like the other pairs. Moving into CHF. This was something that I was looking to take for us, Legends, as of yesterday, but we didn't get any confirmation, and now we can see that price is just mainly range-bound. You can see that price is having a really difficult time getting below this weekly and daily higher low, and at the same time is having a really difficult time getting above this lower high in the monthly and this weekly high. Now, I did see this previous correction that did take place here, and I was looking to take this back up. Unfortunately, we didn't get the confirmation that takes place, so I'm not going to be pulling the trigger. Criteria must fit. I cannot stress that enough. And since we already attempted the movement as of yesterday, the goal is not to try to take it again, as we would be trading this area now for the 4th or 5th time. It's just a very sensitive region at this point, so we do need clear breaks in one direction or the other. Very ranged pair, definitely best to be waiting. Euro pairs going into it, same concept on Euro JPY. We're at some pretty critical regions right now. We are at that weekly high or low, and we are near the monthly low. Same thing for the upside. We can see that these two daily lower highs also represent an extremely sensitive region. You can see how the candles represent all the sensitivity that's taking place, and especially the last couple of trading days, you can see that there's no real clear direction with regards to which way price wants to move. Yes, this may look like a continuation pattern, but at the same time, this could all be considered as relief for another leg to the upside from that surge. So the question becomes, who's going to make the first movement? Are we going to see another movement of the sellers? Are we going to see another movement of the buyers? We do not know. Regardless, it is not our job to catch falling knives and just try to set limit orders near these areas. That is not what we are trying to do. We're trying to let price make its movement first, let it prove to us which way it is going to move, and then we are going to fire away accordingly. That is the name of the game. Let price show its cards first, makes our job much, much easier. And so once again, it's a waiting game.